we're going to begin. So thanks for coming.
Wow, that's something. How many want Google Glass? Raise your hand. Really? Only 5 people? Really? Okay, all right, I got that. Does anybody know how it works? Raise your hand. Okay, Glass, take a picture. Okay, Glass, share with G+. Oh, there it goes. Awesome, it worked this time. So, tonight, I'm super happy for EventBrite and Eric for doing all this. I can't say enough. Please give them a big round of applause. They did a great job. We're going to have a great event tonight. We have so many great people here tonight. Dennis Wingo from SkyCorp to talk about NASA and glass, and he also has glass. I got to say Joe Stern over there, who we started in the glass, my first day in glass, and actually captured my pictures and shared them with everyone. And we have Yosan Chang, who's just an amazing developer. Their games on glass, who's going to be speaking tonight. And we have David Lee over here with G-Pop. He's going to be here tonight. I mean, this is a lot of exciting things and a lot about how glass works and what glass is going to do. We're going to be having it in space. We're going to be having it in enterprise, corporations, and just many, many user experiences that are going to be great. And that's what glass is about. It's about the user experience, and that's what we want to develop. We want to develop a great user experience. Not so much about the technology in it. It's about creating the user experience in the medical field, and for seniors, for kids, for education. And we're working on all those platforms in space, satellites. I mean, it's just endless the amount of things that we can develop for glass. And that's really what you got to look at. You've got to look at the user experience. What can you think of for the user experience? Because it has a lot of space in it to really develop those kinds of applications. And us at Brick Simple have just been doing a great job with that. It's pretty amazing. That over there is like the king of glass, I'm calling. He calls me the king, but he's really the king of glass. You know, I'm just old. But, you know, Ded's going to come out here in a few minutes, and he's going to just, you know, show you what we do and show you what Brick Simple does. And I can say this, I'm just honored to be part of Brick Simple and part of the team because, you know, I'm pretty cute. So that works. And as you saw, they put my face on these utility pictures over here. So if anybody wants to sign copies, please see me. Shameless plug. So right now, I'm going to introduce Ded Anderson, Brick Simple.
My name is Ded Anderson. I'm founder and president of Brick Simple. Again, I want to thank EventBrite for hosting this amazing event. Lots of glass and lots of folks here. But also Eric Dorff for pulling together an amazing group of folks who want to really understand more about the technology, and Dave Martinez for being Dave Martinez. So real quick, Brick Simple, we are a company really with a history of innovation. We did a web application platform. We enjoyed an X in 2008. It was a full stack web platform. We did a lot of mobile application development. We sold an application user community of 5 million users in 2011. For us, it's always trying to take on these new challenges of new platforms, be it emerging web, be it mobile, be it tablets. And really for us, wearables, something as exciting as being that next thing. So I'm at Google I/O 2012, and I was tagged by Bloomberg saying, Dad, we really want you to talk about Nexus 7 tablet and what it means for developers. We know there's going to be this announcement, all this information was leaked, and had me all queued up. And then Google announced Glass. So there I was, and John Ehrlichman of Bloomberg West asked me, Dad, can you talk for 5 minutes about Google Glass? Like, how will people use it? How will they do that? And I was like, okay, sure. So I had a friend contact me in the Bay Area, and he says, Dad, Sergey Brin talked for 5 minutes, and then you talked for 5 minutes about Glass. Like, oh boy. But really, for me, it was actually quite easy, because when you have a new platform like this, when you have a new opportunity to create different kinds of experiences for users. I mean, you've all been designing, and you're designing those little glass rectangles that we carry in our pockets. It's fun to have something new. So, needless to say, when you could pre-order Glass.io, I got my brick right away, number 786, an Intel processor that never made it to market. And I had my waiting brick, and I was wondering, okay, what am I going to do with this thing? And it was sitting on my desk because Google had metered these devices out. This brick was sitting on my desk and taunting me. As I was doing iOS designs, it's taunting me, like it was coming. And I was contacted in January of last year to participate in the East Coast Foundry event, where Google gave an opportunity for just a few developers to spend a weekend with Glass. And for me, being, wanting to be immersed in Glass for a weekend, it was like a nerd vacation, if you will. And part of that is that, really putting on my head, it felt intuitive, and basically you're told, okay, you have 48 hours to cram information about this device in your head. And I found myself after the weekend that I was literally tapping the side of my head. I missed it. The symbiotic relationship had begun. And what had begun was for us just this flurry of time. There's so much we couldn't talk about Foundry. As Google, everyone knows, Google has NDAs for their NDAs, which have NDAs. So I just sat there just like boiling with excitement, and I couldn't necessarily share it with our whole team. But what did happen is when Glass started getting into people's hands, I was one of the first to get, a device outside of Google. And immediately for us, the application flow design began. And that's an important part. What I want to share of our Brick Simple story with Glass is how we've been using the technology and the places we've been pushing it. Because we're all excited at the opportunity to leverage new technology. There's that nerd jewelry aspect. There's that vision of how we can use technology to make the world better. So, of course, the first thing we did was create a game. And we had created a battleship game that was voice controlled on Glass. TechCrunch said it was the first game for Glass that's good enough for me. But we created this multiplayer game, so it wasn't just about having a game, but we were thinking about how can we have these connected experiences between two people. And here we have Nathan Rusak of our team playing in San Antonio versus someone who's back in Pennsylvania. Really this opportunity to tie in Glass as being something that connects experiences. And we just were furious. We said, we gather in the office, and what kind of ideas do we have next? What type of thing do we want to do next? And I have a heavy foot. And I thought it'd be really cool to have a boost gauge that would be visible as a heads-up display while I drove. So we tied in Glass via Bluetooth and the OBD interface of the car so that I could drive in my car at 55 miles an hour on roads as posted and see, boost gauge, Formula One shift lights, all tied in real time. So doing this, and we did this like no one else is doing any of these APKs because we're sharing Google Plus, doing that. We're just trying to, what can we do with the device? We got so excited because this opens it up. And then, of course, Cecilia Vadi, who down in Southern California got a ticket for driving with Glass, but still it opened up our eyes to what kind of solutions we have here. And I found that I drove with this. I drove with this everywhere. And practically, when I started it, it was a cue for the kids to kind of hang on tight in the back of the car. So Daddy's testing. But having those kind of experiences where you really can't drive with that iPad balanced on the steering wheel doing the same thing. You really can't do that. You fix it to the car, but you have your eyes off the road, and immediately have the juices flowing. How can we go and really extend what Glass does in presenting information to someone? So we're approached by a startup in a medical device space called Sorora. So, fun and games and driving cars, but what Sorora has done is Sorora has developed a testing methodology to determine whether or not someone's had a concussion. So in battlefield applications, athletic applications, they have a battery of tests that they can run a person through, and we see here Riley from our organization being tested to determine whether or not you had a concussion. And they started off with a highly modified NeuroSky device with custom firmware and EEG tied in. And our challenge was, can we integrate this medical device information with Glass? Can we do something that can help a physician, can help a caregiver, give them access to information while they're treating a patient. So we actually ported and created a version of their software when they previously run on desktops and tablets to run on glass. And something interesting happened. I mean, and he'll talk about healthcare and glass and the way these things tie in. But the interesting thing that happened was something that wasn't so intuitive. It's that while the person was working with the patient, they didn't have to lose eye contact with the patient. They not staring down into equipment, losing eye contact, but they could actually study what was happening. This was something we didn't expect. We think, oh, this is cool, it'll be on glass, we'll dig it. But we actually saw an opportunity for improved quality of care. And that's something, when you look at this, that you have an opportunity not just to go and introduce some fun technology in the mix, but you have a chance to really improve the quality of care that's delivered. And that just had us thinking of all these different scenarios. What else can we do with it? So, with the what else we can do, this is artist David DeTuna. He's a noted contemporary artist. And if anything I can promise, as I promised in this deck, we will have diversity. We've been through gaming, driving, healthcare. David DeTuna had a vision of tying in his artwork with Google Glass. And his artwork is characterized by these many lenses, American flag themes. He ties all these pieces together, and he's a very accomplished contemporary artist. He had the idea of tying in, how can we make glass extend the experience of someone looking at my artwork? How can we build a deeper experience? So via his, the folks who do his curation, Kiwi Arts Group, they connected us with David. And I have to tell you, and as you know, we have a room here of people involved in digital design and those kind of arts, it's very intimidating to be asked, can you help contribute to what we make in this art experience? I describe it as if a chef invites you into his kitchen and asks you to whip up a little side dish while he's doing something. And it was intimidating, it was challenging, but also this idea that we could extend the experience of the user. So what we did, as we've done Bluetooth integration, we've done those pieces of glass, is that we wanted to make something special. Because this piece, which is the first of a series of 10, would literally have thousands of people coming up to it, looking at it, and experiencing it with glass. So you think about what kind of design you have, that you don't have tapping. Whenever I tap the side of my glass, I feel like I failed the user experience. We wanted to make sure that we included voice cues. We wanted to really tie it in. So as someone looks at David's piece, they actually get content served up to them that supplements and augments the experience of exploring the piece. And this is something which hadn't been done before. It's the first art installation to use glass. But what we did is we used wireless positioning to position the viewer in front of the piece to know where they are, and then use the sensors in the glass to make a determination of what they were looking at. So the piece was unveiled at Art Basel in Miami at the New World Symphony at the SIME conference. And people were able to go up and experience this. And something interesting happened, and Shell Israel was there with us just watching how people experience the piece, is that, yes, we appreciate art, but wearing glass while looking at the art wasn't a distraction from the piece. Instead, it was a way to pull you in and have you more involved with the artwork. And that was something that was just incredible to see people of all different ages come up and experience this piece. After it was in Miami, at the New World Symphony, it then moved to the design district where it actually had a dedicated gallery space for the week during Art Basel, that people could go and view this. So we had celebrity folks, we had folks who worked with new Andy Warhol, and seeing this kind of experience of the technology married with the art, which was really satisfying, and really to see how we were able to kind of fulfill David's vision and create something special that involved the viewer and person in the work. But of course, we're technology people, we like scope creep, those kind of things. So what we did is we also included in the piece includes 4 Raspberry Pi computers. And these Raspberry Pi computers have a 3D printed case that we designed that mimics David Atuna's style of lenses. And what can happen is someone looking at this piece while wearing Google Glass can actually opt in. And if they opt in, when Glass asks them, it will record their experience. We record using the camera on the Glass device. We also then have the Raspberry Pis record that experience. So you look at the art, and the art looks back at you, and it captures that experience. And that's something which really made it special in social, where there's a massive Tumblr feed, there's YouTube. The piece will ask you, how do you feel, what's your position on women's rights? What do you feel about genetically modified food? That the piece will actually interact with you, communicate through these embedded computers with the Glass devices out to the internet, and have something that really fulfills this whole vision of the artist and extends it in a way that none of us really imagined in the beginning. And so here's a picture of a few members of my team, and it's Matt Vallas. The folks recognize him, who braved the cold to go check it out. But part of what we're discussing with Matt is that doing applications like this are things that you couldn't do with a phone, that you couldn't do with a tablet, that it's really something that is new, that you really have this opportunity to go and say, okay, we keep thinking about these phone paradigms, and we've all been through the experience with folks carrying, well, I like it, how it works on the web, let me carry that over to the mobile app design. It really is something where it forces you to think a little bigger. And that's really this aspect of wearable being different. It's very different when you aren't just in their pocket, but you're part of the field of vision. You're part of what they see all the time. And Glass itself is a heavy lift to be this cyborg and wearing this device, is that it's a much more intimate relationship. I mean, when we started with the smartphone devices, and I had done work back in BlackBerry devices, Windows CE devices, none of those really clicked with users like the iPhone had when it arrived. And we saw this big shift where the iPhone impacted all mobile smartphone design. But what happened with the device is that we started seeing categories of applications that no one imagined. Realistically, if someone were to pitch to you Instagram back in 2004, you're like, I don't get it. What we have is we have people who now use these devices in a much more deeper way, a much more intimate way. We think about the text messages that you send through your smartphone, the chat messages sent through your smartphone. Literally, you're living your life events through the device. And that's something we have with wearable, where it's an opportunity where we have this intimate relationship with the device that's in our pocket. We now kind of take away that barrier, that 10 seconds away of the device, and make it something that's more immediate. And for us and my team lives with Glass. So they wear the devices all the time. They want to understand it, want to think it, because that's what's really going to inspire you. As you wear the device to see and understand, you start thinking of those use cases, and you really think about something that's beyond that screen experience. So I use the inception piece, is that we hear talk, well, someone should do Foursquare for Glass, someone should Instagram for Glass. The reality is we need to dream a little bigger. We need to think about the kinds of applications that it's not strictly a matter of aping the social paradigm that works on existing mobile devices. It's about creating something that's truly new. And that's daunting. It's one thing to go and say, oh, think outside the box, and then you realize that box is really big. And you're trying to look at all these bad habits you have, all these design conventions that you've adopted, is that you want to kind of look at what you can do and explore and push beyond that. And that's something that's a great opportunity when we work with a device like Glass, when you look at the wristbound wearables, is that the best practices, a lot of the style and design is still being worked out. There's opportunities for you not just to go and follow a set of guidelines and adhere to them strictly and appeal to the App Store gods for approval, but it's something where you actually have an opportunity to help define these experiences. And we've seen this in changes that Google's made in their GDK. You've seen it in changes they've made in their Mirror platform that really reflect the kinds of applications that are being built out there. And that, for us and our team, and the folks that we work with, and the folks that we partner with, is really just trying to imagine those things. And that's something which, from a design perspective, I love that. I get bored quickly, my typical ADHD kind of thing. But you want to really kind of look to see how you can leverage these pieces. So for us at Brick Simple, we've taken some of the experience that we've had, and realized that, you know what, how can we provide some tools to help people who are exploring glass and working with glass? How can we help them with tools that will then, further that experience, that gives them the chance to build upon glass and take some of those lessons learned. So we have several glass utilities that we've created. And the first of which is I talked about all these Bluetooth pieces. I talked about Bluetooth with the car. I talked about Bluetooth with medical devices. Is that we've created a piece of glassware which is now publicly available. We posted on the Google Plus page that allows the user to do something. If you don't have glass, seems obvious. It's a way to pair any Bluetooth device with Google Glass and provides a mechanism. And there's Dave driving. I hope he's not pairing and driving. You're pushing the bounds of California law there. So you can actually just say, okay, glass pair device. This is something that would seem obvious for Google to include. Google has not included yet, so we're just providing it out there as an application for people to use. So if you want to do something that ties in with the Bluetooth device, if you want to tie in with the fitness tracker and do that, we wanted something out there to take our lessons learned and work with Bluetooth and glass to really help people along and have a good tool out there. One of the challenges with glass is we've talked, you haven't heard me mention the Glass App Store. Google does have a limited way to distribute approved applications. What we've created is a tool that allows non-techie users to easily, here's the word sideload, to load applications on Glass. Part of this is making it just easier for new users to work with the device, put applications on, download applications that the developers are working on, and that is a Chrome ADB extension that runs within Google Chrome. So if you can go and hit the install package and pick an APK on your machine, you can actually install that on Glass. So no longer is it something where you have to feel confident in using the shell and remember package names and do all that. It provides a facility to do that. It provides a facility to uninstall applications and a point-and-click interface that helps a novice user do those things. And even for experienced users, it's a matter of point and click, as Dave uses it when he participates in hackathons and elsewhere, giving users a point and click mechanism to do this. And it's still under development, so if your design eye is looking and saying, Ted, why don't you line those things up? It is available, and we're of course working to improve those aspects of the experience. But really, in our work with Glass, I get excited when I talk with other companies and the kinds of work that they're doing with Glass and hearing the types of experiences they're building. And that's one thing I really like about the Glass community right now, is there's this great level of altruism. There is this excitement, oh, you're doing that, oh, it's great, it's exciting and neat. Folks aren't cutthroat, it's a community that we're all sharing in this experience at the same time and trying to find ways to really have people deeply engaged. So because we packaged some of the utilities out there, and you see Dave made reference to his face there, we were joking because all this Dave wish and want that we call them Big Dave utilities for now. But utilities for glass that can help users, and there's other series of utilities that we'll be releasing. And we're making these freely available. In the case of Chrome ADB extension, we actually have that. It's all open source out in GitHub as well, as we're continuing to do these things to help serve the community. I mean, one of the reasons why we do an event like this is because the success of Glass as a platform kind of rides on you as an explorer. We are all ambassadors. I see people with Glass in the audience here. We all have something of a role. Our behavior reflects on the device, how you use the device. We really have an opportunity to help drive the success of this platform, and that's something that makes that community special. And for the folks here and the folks I know here and the new faces, it's really a chance to be part of a very creative, very dynamic digital community. And I certainly appreciate the opportunity to share some things we've done with you. I know there's going to be a more robust Q&A later in the evening. I'm happy to answer questions, share a glass, let you try it on, talk to those pieces. And I really appreciate the opportunity to share our experiences as Brick Simple. And once again, I'm Ted Anson. Thank you very much. This is the awkward part. We're trying to figure out who's next.
I think we're ready to go into space. What do you think? I recognize that a lot. So, you met Dad, who knows a little more than I do. So, let's use my picture. So, we have here from SkyCorp and NASA, one of our partners, Dennis Mingo. And Dennis has been in the space industry a pretty long time. You Google his name and you'll read for years, not days. And I'm very blessed to have Dennis on our team and be at NASA with them all the time. And we're going to do some great things with glass in space. Dennis actually flew the first Macintosh in space, so that he has a little know-how. I'm not going to talk about it, Dennis, because you do such a great job with that.
There you go.
And he has great, but please Google him and you'll learn a lot about space and the space industry. He's an amazing individual. And thank you for all your help with that.
All right.
You're on.
All right, I'm on. My Mac isn't letting me get to the presentation part. Let me see. It doesn't resize the screen. Ah, there we go. All right. There we go. In the beginning, wearable tech in space, you would think it's a natural kind of marriage. But in the beginning, it wasn't that way. But I should never remember that way back when all this started, this is the 1950s. And this is a picture of von Braun's ideas about space with the Collier's magazine. But I found a picture. I snuck into Dave Martinez's lab. And I got a picture of him with the very first wearable that he wanted to play with. And this right here, this is kind of like version 0.001. And this actually dates from 1965 and Hughes. Hughes used to be the #1 defense contractor in the country. If any of you people ever read about Howard Hughes, he was a total whack job who locked himself in a room and controlled a major conglomerate from a room in Las Vegas. But Hughes did some major cool stuff. And here's what the caption to that image says. It says, a small cathode ray tube and an eyepiece device was first designed for astronauts to receive visual information in cramped spaceships. Now this is 1965, mind you. It says now similar Hughes aircraft headsets are used in industry and medicine by workers who find it convenient and or essential to keep their eyes on the job. In airport control tower, for example, below, wearer receives radar display or other traffic data while moving about. This is 1965. So the concept behind what we now have as Google Glass has been around for a while, but the convergence of technology has taken a while. Back in the space shuttle era, when the space shuttle was flying, the astronauts would go out and they'd do EVAs, they'd do a lot of really cool stuff, and they even wanted to sell some of it, and this right here is actually orbital construction. They were actually making these big long trusses that they originally wanted to go with the space station. But NASA stopped doing it because they said it's too hard to do this in space. How can we give the crew the cues and the information they need while they're in their spacesuits to do this construction? So instead of doing that, because the tech wasn't there, they spent billions of dollars building all the space station elements on the ground and sending them up. Now, these guys actually did some construction experiments. They built these trusses and all, but again, they didn't have the cues and the technology with them in their suits to be able to take advantage of it. Now, this right here, this shows a little later NASA doing some work in the tank, and then NASA Marshall building a big truss for a telescope. How many of you people have seen Hubble? Everybody's seen Hubble telescope pictures. Well, the Hubble telescope is 2.4 meters in diameter. Well, the James Webb telescope, which is its successor, is 6.5 meters in diameter, but it costs as much as a freaking aircraft battle rig. You could buy an aircraft carrier and all the ships that go around it for what they're spending to build the James Webb telescope on the ground. There's an easier way. It's called on-orbit construction, but it's always seemed to be too hard. Well, these guys here built the James Webb telescope is 6.5 meters.
They built a 14-meter in diameter telescope in the neutral buoyancy lab by having people with cues and had a very early LCD screen to help give them cues about how to do the construction. A 14-meter optical telescope could put multiple pixels on the Earth-sized planet 300 light years away. Isn't that Earth? 300 light years away, putting multiple pixels on an Earth-sized planet. And those planets are out there. We just can't see them yet because we're spending all this money building crap on the ground when we can build it in space. Well, NASA wants to go in this direction. This right here, and these are very rare pictures. I'm a collector, and I've collected all this stuff over the years. This is from 1991. It's from a company called SAIC, a major defense contractor. And this is their wearable tech on their arm. And it has the heads-up display that the astronaut would have on the surface of Mars doing stuff. But you've got to remember they got their helmet so they could have a heads-up display. They weren't thinking in a direction of a wearable tech. Because again, the steel wasn't there. They had this really cool armband with video system. Now, this was just conceptual, but at the same time, and this is how this is the ancestor of David and our interaction. In 1991, I built a mock-up, because that's all you could do, of an LCD display that an astronaut would have inside of their helmet to give them all this information in a very primitive way that we now have with Google Glass. Well, we actually got the astronaut, Harrison Schmitt, who's the only geologist to ever walk on the moon. Harrison Schmitt wore this, and he talked about how this technology would be used on the moon and on Mars as a way for interaction. And in our last talk, some really, really interesting changes happen when you don't have to look away from your scene. And this is what he's talking about with the data and the doctor. When you break eye contact, there's a shift in your perception, and it takes a couple of seconds to reconfigure. We've all done this. When you look away from the phone, you've been looking at your phone walking down the street, and you look up, and it takes you kind of a second to recombobulate your life. But with something like Google Glass, and what we looked at in 1991, this is a seamless process of integrated data. So it's a very, very compelling idea. And NASA started to understand this, but again, the tech wasn't there. I try not to do PowerPoints with a lot of text, but this is just my little text part. Wearable tech is transformative for space as well as for terrestrial, what we call terrestrial applications. And it's for the benefit of society. I'm part of the computer revolution. We called ourselves the microcomputer revolution in the early 1980s. And in our company, which was around even before the IBM PC, we used to have a t-shirt that says computers for the betterment of society. We understood what we were doing then. And I think with Google Glass, these guys understand what they're doing now. Now, today in space, this is what an astronaut in a spacesuit looks like. He's got all these high-powered lights, he's got all this stuff, but guess what? He doesn't have any wearable tech. He doesn't have anything with him that actually helps him in the task that he has at hand. And what he does, he has people behind him in audio loops that talk him through checklists. But just think this astronaut, while he's out there working on the space station, like this guy right here, what if he had the mechanical drawings for the part he's playing with out there? There was just the other day, and there's a company here in San Francisco called Earth to Cast. They've tried twice to install a camera on the exterior of the space station. I don't know how many millions of dollars it's cost them to fail twice in putting this out there. What if the crew person who was out there had said, well, give me the schematic. Boom. Glass, give me schematic. And there's the schematic. Or here's the mechanical drawing. What am I doing wrong? I mean, up there in space, down here on the Earth with the doctor, or with what we're doing here, the cost is little, but up there, literally, it costs several $1 million every time they walk outside of the space station. So something like a Google Glass, something of this wearable tech idea could be absolutely crucial to pushing space technology forward. Now, in thinking about glass, and I've been thinking about this a lot, my initial thought about glass is this is where glass is today. Well, and I thought about that a little while, but that kind of goes back to the lady in the glasses from 1965. I kind of think Google Glass is right here. We're kind of at that, what we call back then the Macintosh moment. The Macintosh moment is when we had a very intuitive GUI interface that people could actually afford, and you could start to do things. One of the things that I think is a detriment to glass in its development is to say that glass is going to change everything. Glass is immediately, everybody in this room is going to want to have glass to wear every day to do all your stuff. No, we're not there yet. We're just now starting to explore, and our previous presenter and what Dave and these guys talk about, we're just starting to explore what we can do with glass and to think about how wearing glass changes the way we do things and improves. And in technologies, and I've been in technology since the 1970s. I started out with IBM punch cards. And I've watched the evolution of technology. And all successful technologies that we have developed and have brought into production and that we have actually caught on with the public are things that make your life quicker, more productive, less expensive. These are the things that sell. These are the things that make people write a check. You wrote a check for a smartphone because it gave you a lot more capability. This is the kind of thing that I think Google Glass can do as well. If we find these applications, the danger that I feel that Google Glass might have is that in overhype, it becomes the ginger of wearable tech. And for those who may know what ginger is, that's what Dean Kamen called the Segway before it came out. And it was so overhyped that when it came out, people were going, are you serious? But if it had evolved, and if it had come out and if it had evolved, there were many applications for something like that. So I think what these guys at Brick Simple are doing are fantastic. Some of these technologies, but it comes down to, at the end of the day, how are you able to integrate? And some of the things that we've looked at in space, obviously, is having the crew have access to information. To me, Google Glass is like your brain extended. And so access to information. And on the ground, if I'm a geologist and I'm a backpacker, I backpack every summer in the Sierras. I see really cool rock formation. I want to know what the geology is. I would love to have something like Google Glass. Google Glass, give me the geology of the Sierras. And so I can start to look there. But then we want hardware add-ons. I have a battery that I use for my Google Glass because, Google Glass is nice, but, and I don't think I have it in my pocket here, but the Google Glass doesn't have the battery life. So I have an extra battery for it that I put in my pocket. What about multispectral technology? You can have an infrared camera. There's tons of stuff. So I really think for you guys who are developers, it's the mixture of hardware technology interfaced into Google Glass that is for overlays. And in medical technology, that overlay is perfect. I think that extending that look to other applications, geology. Just think of the guy right now, you know that most oil drilling, the bit for the drills, that drill most of the oil wells in the world, are not controlled by anybody on site. There's a guy sitting in a room in Houston, Texas, and he's using remote sensing data to control that wellhead. Well, that costs a lot of money. What if I was the same guy, but I was at the wellhead and I had all that remote sensing data? Because today what they do, that remote sensing data is transmitted back over satellite, back to the guy in Houston. He's sitting there with a bunch of computers, and he does this and it goes over satellite. Very expensive. What if I was a drill guy there at the site? Because all the data's there, and I have all the data there, and I control the drill from there. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a day could be saved by this type of technology using Google Glass. So for you guys as developers who are interested, you software guys, you hardware guys, and and the reality of the world is hardware, but software always lags hardware. So it is. Hardware comes first and then the software. You guys who are developers, there's a ton of little niches like this. And just like the Altair originally was just a toy. The Macintosh was originally a nice toy for artists, but the applications grew from there. And the more the applications grow, the more pervasive the technology is. And again, for those of you who know the singularity moment, there becomes a tipping point in the technology where it becomes ubiquitous. And it becomes something that everybody uses for their own deal. I don't think it's ever going to replace your mail. You know, your email or text or something like that. But there's a million applications out there for Google Glass. There's a million ways to do it. Space, defense, IED detection. There's a lot of different ways to actually pay for this and to get customers. Because at the end of the day, if you don't have customers, you can't pay your rent, you come to door. The guys at Bring Simple here have done a great job in a lot of this area. And so my suggestion to all of you developers, think about the niches, think about the different areas where you can have an impact with something like Glass and its integration with technology to extend it and have some impact. So that's my time. I guess we're going to have questions later, right?
Yeah.
Very.
Hello everyone. Hope everybody's having a great night so far. I am, learning a lot. My name is Anna Wante and I am the new media manager of Break Simple and also a Glass Explorer, as you guys can see. And so our next guest here is Ina Yo-Song Chang. She's an artist and independent developer currently working on finding the killer use case for 3D computer vision based on augmented reality. We'll talk all about developing on the Mirror API and creating applications on the new GDK development tool.
Originally, I was actually planning to just do a demo jam showing a bunch of cool apps and stuff. But then I found out that they wanted me to talk about the Mirror API and Android SDK, well, GDK API. So I kind of put that into. But I guess the main cool demo I'll be showing revolves around the Gyrofire platform, which I guess I'll showcase the interesting Google Glass Simulator parts and other things. You can check out most of this stuff on statusbeta.com and gyrofire.com. And also, if you search for Gyrofire on your iPhone, Android, or iPad, you can download the Gyrofire Google Glass Simulator so that even if you don't have Glass, you can try it out. So, Mirror API. So, analogize. Let's present the notes. Okay, so basically, in programming, there's code and then there is design and architecture. The first can basically be RTFM by anyone. It takes insight and vision to figure out the latter. So rather than going over the Mirror API and exploring typical REST API details, I'm just going to show you that the design is kind of a parallel analogy to a PowerPoint or a keynote presentation. So in Mirror API parlance, a presentation slide is called a card. As you'll see later, these slides have huge text to make sure that someone standing way in the back can read it. So basically, on Glass, this is also to make sure that your eye can read a relatively tiny projection projected on the optic to kind of float in front of you. And secondly, the sequence of your presentation is called the timeline, or analogized to the timeline. So basically, you push cards to the Mirror API to advance the timeline. And also, slided interactivity corresponds to menu items. You can subscribe to these menu items and go from the card. But I guess the most interesting element is that the audience, or your audience, is actually the glassware. So I think that in designing Glass, the Googly folks asked the question, okay, Glass, what is the most important thing in any presentation? Time, because it runs out so fast. Kidding, I guess I have like, I don't know, 19 minutes left still. Anyways, this, as many of you know, is the glass start screen. It kind of means that you can wear a watch on your head. Anyways, so carding, the presentation of your life. So continuing this sort of thin client UX analog sort of thing. The data of your life can be represented on cards. So let's discuss carding the presentation of your life. So you swipe back and forth between cards, kind of like one of those slideshows that your Aunt Mary shows about her summer vacation, and you check out photos and videos of people that you might have known somewhere in your past, or And also you read updates, tweets, emails, SMS, stuff on the internet and everything. Great. And also you tap on a card to find out more. So this is stuff like replying to a tweet or SMS, and actually this is currently all via dictation, since you live in the Truman Show and everyone knows everything about you anyways. Right, so you can also pin stuff that you like, and this is kind of the equivalent of plastering post-it notes all over your head. So basically, just like in real life, you can also ask glass or the people around you for directions, such as, audience, how am I doing? Oh, wow. Interesting. I was actually thinking it would be more of a vague, uncertain response, in which case Glass's natural language processing kind of could use a little bit more. But, for example, if you ask for directions, you often have to ask for these specific things, like, where is the EventBrite headquarters in San Francisco? I mean, if you just ask, where am I, it's going to give you like a weird Wikipedia rhetorical sort of return, which, anyways. So, next. So, my point is, your life is just a PowerPoint. Okay, boring, let's move on. GDK to the rescue. All right, so the GDK is kind of actually really just the Android SDK, also the NDK, but with a little bit more, as in like integration into Glass OS layer. So with the Mirror API, there are some lag-related issues due to its REST-based designs. Latency. You can get better access to cooler things through the native SDK, aka GDK. Which again is just the Android SDK because Glass runs an Android ice cream sandwich on the bottom. So basically, the sensor combination on Glass is pretty much your usual phone sensors, and you have the usual 9DOF and Benson stuff, gyro, accelerometer, compass, and then you have this super long side touchpad. And the interesting thing is you can actually get the full XY coordinates, just like your usual touch API from Android SDK. And also you have native access to the camera, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, as I guess some previous sort of map showed. And also there are potentially other sensors that you can access through the usual Android SDK sensor protocols. And also GDK. It's basically just the Android SDK with integration into the OS, voice activation, UI layer card stuff. Cool. All right, so Pivot. Gyrofire platform. So in reimagining the UX, let's try breaking free from the tiny screen on your right eye. So in real life, we all have binocular vision, or I guess most of us do. Stuff looks like it's in stereo, rather than just that glowing tiny monocular video playing in your right eye. And there is this notion of seeing things through glass. So let's try kind of using on that. So let's do some spherical scroll with 2 degrees of freedom, and what you see through glass is just a current screen of something huge that you're using your neck to scroll around to see the full picture of. And this is kind of like having pins on your ear in terms of interactivity beyond just looking around or scrolling around. You're, say, tapping to tap the side touchpad to action. Okay, great. So now I'll show you like a live playthrough of the Gyrofire tryouts, and it's the Glass simulator. It's a cool way to let everyone try Glass with or without Glass. And right now I'm just running the Gyrofire tryout app on my iPhone. It's also on the Android, as you can see the logos, it's on the App Store and it's also in the Google Play Store. And it's free, so you can just download the tryout Gyrofire to vicariously experience Glass without actually having Glass. Great, so let's see, how do I switch over to, you guys see this? Interesting, retina map. All right, great. So right now I'm running Reflector app, which something that's connected. Wi-Fi. It should be reflecting whatever I'm seeing on my phone right to AirPlay and to my MacBook. So here we go. And where is reflector? All right, switching around device, reflector, AirPlay. Somebody said reflector. Weird, it's not connecting, but let's see. Just to see one, just wanted to connect it to that. So reflector again. That's weird. It's not even showing up anymore. Here we go, AirPlay, MacBook Pro. Here we go. Okay, so basically this is the tryout app. So you can vicariously rotate a head with your finger. So you're dragging your finger around to rotate this head of a person. And I'm going to make this screen a little bit bigger, and I'm going to aim and shoot stuff by rotating this little head here. And tap to fire, or in this case, tapping to teleport a goat. For those of you who wonder why it's arbitrarily a goat, it's actually not arbitrary. It's kind of interesting folklore for every single version of the Android OS. There's a sort of dummy method that basically does nothing. So Ice Cream Sandwich has something called is user a goat, and has user been teleported. It basically just, it's like a dummy method, doesn't really do anything. But funny thing is, the class is running Ice Cream Sandwich, and we are teleporting goats you notice this little mannequin head is actually rotating, and that's controlling what you're saying with your gyroscope. And if you can see, I'll zoom into this angle. So when I tap, you can see that it's actually tapping anything to tap. And when you swipe, actually, you can change to different sort of things, such as, there we go, cubes that you can blow up. And I think that there's a little bit of lag on my iPhone to that screen, but you can get this app on the App Store. It's just for Gyrofire. And okay, let's go back to the rest of the stuff, which I think might be displayed. Okay, sure.
So who has it this lab? So the game she's talking about is actually on my glass. The one who's coming. How cool it is. So see? And so go ahead and do your finger right here. Tap on the side of your head. Tap on the side of Pretty cool. It's really hard to imagine unless you can really see on God's. Go ahead and turn around. Just go ahead and tap on the side as you're done. So how are the flames? Really cool. Yeah, this cannot explain. I mean, it's a really amazing experience on glass. And it's amazing. It's a very, very happy game. It's awesome. So, user experience, remember? User experience. Go ahead, and afterwards, we have time. I'll be glad to show you the game.
Anybody can just download it directly at gyrofire.com. Great, so tap to fire. And here's another thing. You can just go to statusbeta.com or tryout.gyrofire.com to try it out on any web browser. So as you can see, you're rotating you're vicariously rotating a dummy head to then vicariously see through what a dummy head is actually seeing. It's a little bit meta, I guess. We turn off the panorama mode, so now you see kind of what it looks like through glass, which is basically just a bunch of cubes on a black plane. Now, if you swipe, you can basically change it to different things, such as goats, and these little wireframes and just the cubes again. So basically, you're tapping to shoot, tapping to fire, blow things up, and rotating your head, tapping to blow things up. And this is just kind of a demonstration that that you can see within a web browser. I guess what's interesting is that so beyond just shooting stuff, this can kind of be extended to a natural user interface platform. So replace the stuff you're shooting with, say, piano keys. Okay, so you guys can't really hear this now unless there is audio connected. Let's see. Can you guys hear? Okay, so as I'm, again, vigorously rotating this virtual head, I am then playing piano keys by shooting to play. So extending the analogy of shooting to shoot or blow things up, you can shoot to play piano keys or piano notes. And the cool part is that on glass, you can always touch, hold, and just kind of spin around, and that's like you're playing the scale really fast. It's kind of fun. And that while on glass, it's also kind of semi-transparent, so you kind of see the world around you, and the piano keys superimpose on top somewhat. Okay, so beyond just kind of the shooting interface, what about something like playing drum set? So you're rotating your head to basically use your eye kind of to shoot and play a drum set. So again, it's extending the idea of using the gyroscope and this sort of 2D OF plus 2.5D OF sort of inner sphere sort of canvas around you to then redesign your UI UX based on that. So this is GyroKeys, and you can grab it on on statusbeta.com as well, which is basically where I posted a bunch of status beta level apps. That's in they're really just in beta, just like kind of class. Okay, and I guess another thing is you're probably wondering about productivity. So why not sculpt a clay ball using glass? So you're rotating your head and then tapping to sculpt a clay ball. So make the screen bigger now. So tapping and this is gyroclay. So again, it's extending the idea of instead of using like a traditional scrolling mouse, you're using this sort of gyroscope, sort of like mouse that is freeform, rotating it around your head, freestyle. And okay, now combine it with other wearables. This is kind of a package demo where you are using your Pebble to then while the gyrofire is in, you probably wonder what if you could walk around, right? So in this case, you're walking around by rotating your hand. So as you can see, there's the accelerometer on the Pebble. You're raising and lowering it to then walk around this scene. We turn on the panorama, and so we'll just rotate here, and so raising, lowering the hand. And so you're basically mix and matching different sensors with different devices and then mapping it into different input for a sort of, a more novel and sort of intuitive UX. Break free of the mouse and touch screen. And finally, you can do classic computer vision-ish augmented reality with video shows. So in this case, you're seeing in the top right-hand corner what the glass viewer sees, which is a 3D model augmented onto this surface, this sort of plane surface in front. So let me turn off the panorama. So basically, as the person moving their head, right, that stays on top of the surface. And so it's kind of cool. It's you can, in theory, kind of create some interesting games like that. But I guess the key difference is that you're actually seeing camera stream. Well, this computer vision is working on a camera stream that's it's not actually projected right into the real world. There's some criticism that it's not real AR. And how am I doing on time? 5 minutes. Okay, great. Right. So let's go back to. Great. So. So again, you can get Gyrofire Glossometer on the App Store, and yeah, these were the bunch of Gyrofire platform demos that I showed, and you can get this at satisbeta.com. And there's a few others I don't have time to show currently. Stuff like gyro data, where again, imagine shooting, instead of shooting stuff, you're shooting for information. There was a hackathon at TechCrunch and Strep hackathon, which was called Weather Glass, where you use the weather API, weather underground API. You have a bunch of weather beacons around you. And the interesting part about the weather beacons is that each one has a webcam. So then when you're shooting on a weather beacon, you can then see what the webcam is seeing there. So in a way, it's you're shooting for information at a distance, and then you're kind of seeing at a distance. And there was also another hack, I think I called it Shop Style or something. Use the shopping API that then you can, instead of shooting to blow things up, you're shooting to shop. So imagine like just, basically a wall of product around you, and you're shooting to select what you want to buy. Just kind of extending the idea of, just break free of the traditional flat screens for a full node inside of Sphere. And also the AI demo that you saw, which actually is markerless. But yeah, so in conclusion, Gyrofire is actually something I built last summer, and I totally forgot about it in November. So this is kind of an interesting sort of thing where I got to revive stuff that's kind of starting to be from my dark past. I'm kind of working on much cooler stuff. But if you're interested in Gyrofire or want to try these demos out, feel free to contact me. And it's really easy to contact me, so if you get my name right, then you can basically get everything else. My name is Yosun. Everything else is based on a permutation of my name. So my phone number is 41577 Yosun, and my email is yosun at my first name backwards, nusoy.com. Thanks.
Awesome. Okay, so next we have Joe Stern. He's a blogger, creative photographer, glass explorer, and he will talk all about using Google Glass for photography and filming field on wearables. Joe is known for his extensive experience taking real-time photos and creating user experience on glass.
All right, hi everybody. My name is Joe Stern. Good. You guys still awake? Everybody still here? Can we give a hand to EventBrite for having a wonderful space? Cool caveat. I got this shirt at OpenCo. I don't actually work for EventBrite, so I see they're nervously standing over in the corner. I don't actually work for them. I do use their service. Just wanted to preface that real quick. Anyway, so I figured it out. All the guys in here, I know you're trying to figure out with your wives or future wives how to convince them to get a pair of glass. It's really easy, actually. You just put it in your wedding. So this is actually a screenshot, and if you guys are so inclined, I'll actually show you some of the footage that we edited from it. But what we did is we actually had this involved in our wedding, and I believe with about 95% accuracy, we're the first couple ever to have the rabbi wear it. There's about 4 weddings that in this past summer, this was the last September, that had glass in them. One of them was Sergey Brin, which doesn't really count. But it's something from a photography and videography point of view, fantastic. One of the reasons why this is so fantastic for us is our rabbi didn't allow any photographers or videographers within 5 rows of the front. This is the only footage we got, and it happened to be really cool because you don't normally get the footage of the couple looking the other way. You get looking this way. So yeah, that was kind of long and convoluted. But yes, you get the idea. So it was something where it was very unobtrusive. It worked very well with our photographers' existing workflow as well as the videographers. And it gave us a very, very cool point of view. So if you guys are excited about this, we're actually going to play a little bit of it. And we're going to see how the sound works because I'm not plugged into the sound. So hopefully my speakers are pretty loud. See how this goes. No, I didn't. probably the other one. Oh, it's not long enough. No, it's that computer. Probably a lot easier, so I apologize in advance. There we go. I will make you watch all 10 minutes, I promise. I promise. So what this is really showing is the ability to capture real-time events. You'll also see how often you get weird looks wearing it. Money, stay on my craft and stick around for those pounds. But I do that to pass the torch and put on for my town. Trust me, I'm my INDEPENDENT shit hustler. Chasing dreams since I was 14 with the portrait busting. And we cross that city with the black hat that they kept crushing. Labels out here and now they can't tell me nothing. Give that to the people, spread it across the country. Labels out here and now they can't tell me. I'm going to give you guys 10 seconds of what it actually looked like from the rabbi's perspective. I'm pretty sure my wife's watching at home, so... Spoiler, I said yes. All right. So, back to my lovely presentation. So it's not just about me. I know, it's kind of shocking, right? It's also about others. Wow, helps if I actually put going to present mode. So one of the other cool things we did, mainly because it was a surprise and I had to hide up at the top of Castillo de Amorosa, which I'm probably mispronouncing. It's literally a castle in Napa if you're not aware of what it is. So my buddy had this great idea. He was going to propose to his now fiancée. And it was going to be a surprise. And he wanted me to take pictures for it, which is great, except this little corner of the castle is very small and it's almost impossible to hide more than one person. So I wanted to capture some video of it. So what I did is I ended up filming the actual entire engagement session through glass, as well as taking pictures with it. And what this actually ended up being is a very cool artifact for them, because by definition glass is very wide angle, I was standing about yay far away. So it was something where you're actually watching this video, you feel like you're right there, which is something that you can't really even get with you can get it with a film crew. I'm only saying this because there's a film crew right here. But you can, it's a little bit tougher to get this by yourself. And that was the cool thing for me, was this was one person just filming. And by the way, everything I'm talking about right now, I know in video, you're probably wondering, he was talking about photography. I'm gonna get there, I promise. This is all up on YouTube if you want to see some of the quality. It was either rendered and uploaded through iMovie or Final Cut Pro. So the quality is very decent for a head-mounted computer. And then the other cool things is you can just take videos of random stuff. So putt-putt, hole-in-one, I actually have proof. Doing an egg drop and surviving over at the Exploratorium, also have proof. But the really nice things about this is it shows how easy it is for somebody to share their experiences with others almost effortlessly. When these were taken, they didn't have the ability to directly upload to YouTube. They do now. So it's something where you can literally take a video, and if you don't need to edit it, you can upload it immediately. So, and then the other really amazing thing about glass is the response I've gotten from all kinds of people. Just this morning, I actually was sitting next to a guy on the train who chatted up a conversation. I ended up letting him try it on because glass is something that you really need to try on to experience. I could speak for hours, I won't, about how awesome it is. However, it's something that you definitely need to try on, and I guarantee within about 60 seconds you'll get it. Personally, I think this is as big of a resolution as the iPad was. If you're just not trying to be super crazy, I really do think it's going to be pretty awesome. In terms of changing the tech world, not taking pictures with an iPad. I do want to preface that. For those out there taking pictures with my iPad, I apologize. It's okay, I've done it a couple times. I know it happens in a pinch. But yeah, and then the other cool thing is we ran into a skateboarder in Annapolis who was running around and actually stopped because he saw me wearing glasses and was like, dude, put this on your head, I want you to go do a lap. And it was just incredible because he's actually skateboarding with a fisheye lens camera on a Scorpion mount, and he's filming this too. And it's just something where, granted, his quality will blow my quality out of the way, but if he falls, he can still catch himself if he's just wearing glasses. So, now to the pictures. This is a little dim, so I'll explain what they are. So, anything from testing a juicer to going to the glass base camp, eating sushi, taking pictures at other conferences like yourself. It's something where you can definitely discreetly take a photo. I've seen a couple people out here like pull up a phone and take an Instagram or take a picture. You can do something very similar with glass, and most of the time, people really won't be aware that you're doing it. Yes, I know that opens up a whole can of worms that I'm sure we'll be talking about later. But the other cool thing about it is it can be, for some people, a pseudo-light logger. So it's something where if I see something, a cool picture of something, I'll usually take a picture of it. And then I can now kind of capture more and more cool stuff. So when a Lamborghini shows up at the gas station, I don't have to fumble for my phone. Same thing when my pug was leaning out the window. And I know these look very blurry up here. They're actually pretty sharp, and I'm going to reference that in a second. But for the most part, it's something where it definitely offers an amazing quality of video and photo quality. I'm doing my best Michael Bay impression. Do you guys like it? Sorry, it's okay. Some people do get frightened. All right, so let me exit full screen. So to give you guys a quick example, let's see which one. I have tested this on animals. No animals were harmed. That is a very old pug, if you can't tell. I'm still working on the Where's Squirrel app. I haven't gotten very far. But also, something else, and I'm really not trying to, oh, thank you. I'm not trying to plug my company here, but I wanted to just show you, this is actually our company's newsletter for the company that I work for. I do photography on the side. And the reason why I wanted to show you this is that this is a 8x11 pamphlet with a glass photo on it. And it was actually so good of quality that our marketing manager didn't even realize it was actually a glass photo. She realized it wasn't a DSLR photo, because it does definitely have some noise. But it was something where she was even amazed that this was actually coming out of glass. And if you guys, I can definitely show you a picture. Unfortunately, I was going to bring some of these, I forgot. But this is almost a testament of the quality of the camera that's on your face. And then finally, the other really fun thing about it is you can definitely goof off into some really fun point of view stuff. This really is helpful when your dog loses the ball in the ocean. Narrow use case, I'm aware. But yeah, that's what I really am excited to be a part of this event. I've been living with glass since last July, and it's just something where, from a photography standpoint, it's really going to change the industry a little bit. From everything from behind the scenes photos, to tutorials, to manuals, being able to even remote controlling glass from, remote controlling a camera with glass. There's just so much possibility, and it's really exciting. There's a lot of cool ideas, and that's basically it.
Well, I hope you're all having a great time as I am, listening to all these different people. It's really great. I have a friend that we have an incubator here in town called Wearable World, where everybody works on glass and all the wearables. And Tony, this friend of ours from there, launched a book on how to build on glass, Mary and UK. He had to go to Canada, so Anna's going to do his presentation for you. And after the event, give Anna your email, and we'll give you a copy of that book. It's available on Amazon. It's all about developing on the GDK and tell us all about it. So you don't have to pay $20 for it. So after, just give us your email, we'll send it off to you as coming out tonight. So here we go.
So again, my name is Ana Wante and I work for Brick Simple and I am the media manager. And today I'm going to talk to you about my glass user experience, and pretty much I'm going to tell you what I experienced so far since I been using glass, and also like they said.
You guys got cheap presentations, presentations. That should go to an icon out your way. Totally bad.
There you go. Okay, so. Okay, I can do this. So I'm going to talk to you about this book that is called Glass TM Programming, and it's done by a glass explorer. And his name is Tony Gaipasis. So, like they said, he flew to Canada just a few days ago, and I'm gonna put things. So, this book will pretty much teach you and learn to program glassware with the Google Mirror API using Linux, MySQL, and PHP. This book contains step-by-step instructions for designing and programming with the Google Mirror API and glassware in MVC PHP. Either if you're a developer or not a developer, this book can teach you and show you and give you the way and the view of wearable technology and the way that it is if you don't have glass or you don't have a smartwatch or anything like that. It also has all kinds of links that you can search for. It's there on hand. It has every content and information that you can find. It is really amazing. So one of the latest release the Google Glass team did is they finally did the prescription lenses, and this was something that everybody was asking for and concerned about, and a lot of people came up to me in the street while I was wearing glass and asked me, well, how am I supposed to use this if I wear prescription lenses and I'm not going to be able to see through it? And a lot of people were not able to see through it because of their prescription lenses. And again, you can try somebody else's glass, but it's never going to be the same as when you get your own set and it's set up for your head, your face, and you get to go out there in the world and take pictures and feel it and use it and do all kinds of stuff with it. So here's a video of the lenses, the glass launch, and pretty much it's saying Google Glass is ready for everybody.
Yes, even modeling, he actually is wearing the glasses.
Yeah, so here we have Steve, and he's the glass explorer, and he's just really excited. So this shows you the glass is made pretty much for everybody, whether you are a tech developer or non-developer. It is made for you. So next, what is glass? So like many computers today, it has a memory right here in the back, has a touchpad where you can do commands if you don't want to talk to the glass when you're in public or you're talking to somebody and you don't want to say a command out loud. You can always use the touchpad. It has a screen right here. It has a camera, which is right here. The CPU and storage is inside the touchpad, and it has a power button right here in the back. It also has a glass button right here, which I'm still not sure what it is. But yeah. So one of the So Google Glass uses the Google Mirror API cloud-based as an intermediate layer to relay information back and forth to Glass and your servers. So again, it's connected to your cell phone. It's staggered to your cell phone, and it uses my Glass app, which you will download that application once you go in to the Glass office and get your Glass set up. But like the president of Brick Simple here said, we just launched a really cool application development that Brick Simple team did. And it's pretty much you can connect your device to any device that you want just by saying, okay, Glass, pair to device. And you can always do screencasts. I don't know if you guys seen that, but here. So screencast is pretty much when somebody comes up to you and they say, oh, so what do you see for the screen? And I let anybody wear my glass. I let anybody use my glass. Even if they don't ask, I ask them, do you want to try it on? Do you want to wear it? Do you want to see how it works out? Some people like the idea of it. Some people don't want to try it. Some people are scared of it. Some people are fascinated by it. They want to buy it right there. So screencasting is pretty much, okay, Glass. You can see what I see through Glass. And as you see, I can see the command send a message to. So it's sending a message to Dad. And a lot of the times when there's a really loud crowd, Glass won't really listen to your commands. It will take a delay or it will hear something else. Voice recognition still really bad from my perspective. But again, like Dennis said, it's something that is just born like the first new iPhone that it came out, and you know, we believe that it's gonna do a big change in every industry and for everybody. It's gonna be amazing once it's there. So one of the updates that got me the most excited about was it's called Vintage. So what it is you take a picture within a picture, as you can see here. That's my sister, her friend, which I love them all. And GPS works great on Glass. So as you can see, you can always be driving and take a picture of your GPS while it's telling you where to go, while it's telling you the directions. Google Glass will read your emails, text message, articles. You can sign up for the CNN News, New York Times. You can see it right there on your face. It will read to you, and you can share that to anybody. I use Google Plus heavily, so every time somebody tells me, so what would I be using Glass for? I tell them, do you use Google Plus? They tell me no. Okay, well, then I see that you can probably do text messaging or phone calls. Well, I'm not going to pay $1,500 for that. And that's something that is, it's cool to have in your face, but everybody that has Glass is really active on the Google Plus community. So you'll see tons of updates and amazing pictures that they post every day, and you don't see that on Facebook or Twitter. So Google Plus is really the platform where you can share your content through Glass and any type of information that you have, and it's just amazing. So yeah, Vintages is something that is a really cool tool that I've never seen in any other device. You can do 3 pictures within 1 picture and all this kind of cool stuff. And again, if you want to see all my Through Glass photos, you can find me on G+. I have tons of photos of just what I see on the street or anything, which that's what glass is made for, you know, for that moment where you see something and you cannot take out your phone and take a picture of it. And I take a lot of pictures, so with glass, I started taking even more pictures. Not selfies, though. Only when I have a mirror in the bathroom. Okay, so this is where we see glass. And I hope it gets to this point where you can just do so much with it, and it's simple, meaningful, and yeah, this book it tells you everything about it. It tells you what you should design for, how you should design for it, what you should program, how you should do it, what you should use, what's recommended, and it has every link to the book. So you can find this book on the Google Play Store, you can find it on Amazon, and you can also just let me know, and yeah, I can forward that to you. So this is an amazing video of the lecture.
Yeah. Being in front of screen books and two. Oh man, really? Sweet. Remind me by team 4 once you all gain on tonight. Where's the music section? Oh, yes. This is it. Small here again? Great. Hey dude, how's it going? Sure. Hey, just a second. Cool. Thanks, man. See you, dude. Oh, cool. Take a photo of this. Share it to my servers. Oh, I'm running late. Music, stop.
Hi, what's up?
Hey,
Hey.
you want to say something cool?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, here you go.
And that's what I have. So yeah, thank you.
Hola mi gente, how you doing? How's everybody? Alright, so we're about to finish, but today's a great moment for me and for my team. About a year ago, last year, I met Dave Martinez, and he's a very his personality is amazing. I met him through a Latino startup event here in the city of San Francisco, and that moment when you see the first person wearing Google Glass is pretty special. And for me, it was. First of all, my name is Sebastian. I'm the head optimist of a company called OT. We make sunglasses, and when I saw him, I immediately thought, this is interesting. But never in that moment I thought of the possibilities that this piece of technology could have until I wore it on. Until I put it on, I started really reminiscing. Oh my God, this feels really awkward. have no idea how I'm gonna wear these on my everyday because it seems so natural, you know. So after talking to Dave and he teaching me more about it, I really became, you know, engaged into the mission of Google Glass. The mission of Google Glass at that point was, as you just saw in the video, the first ever Google Glass video, capture the moment. That moment is very special. But also, when you think that you want to do things on the go, you want to do them right there. And even though you have that technology, it's lacking that thing that I want to wear this every day. People are going to look at me, right? So Google Glass in itself, we definitely see it today. The one thing that it has is that when you see someone, you immediately recognize that they're watching something unnatural. The first time I wore Google Glass, the people at Brick Simple, they gave it to me. People were thinking, some of them were, especially kids, looking at you and feeling really motivated to touch it and stuff. But other people would really walk away, and it's all because it feels unnatural. So when you're just talking to Brick Simple about different ideas, we became pretty motivated about creating a special accessory that would make your Google Glass fit your life. And this is what we're trying to do today. This is the first debut of our collection of Google Glass accessories that will make you feel fly when you walk outside with Google Glass. This is the awkward feel, right? Oh my God, this is how it looks. I know you have the red one. I know people like this kind of how it looks. So this is the motivation. Okay, how am I gonna make it feel better? And through this idea, our team developed a series of prototypes that we're going to be debuting very soon. And our concepts have balance. So this is one of the first ones, very similar to the ones that you see right now. And the branding and the idea of it, they're very light. They're prototype with the best materials out there. And we're just going to really show you some of the examples that we're going to be putting out on the market this year. These are designs that are developed here in-house in the Bay Area, and we're really excited to just show people and start experimenting and start really understanding how people engage with fashion and wearables on their everyday. We have all the way from concepts for riding a bike, very sporty, you have the ones right now, and some of them are more fashionable, more things that you will wear to the beach, for example. The color schemes of Google Glass for us are very important, where you have great appealing colors and amazing designs that you can actually put on your side. We're going to fit a lot of those designs with the first ever prescription sunglasses. We're going to be debuting different types of prototypes in the next months, and we're going to start testing the first prototypes as well with the Explorer community. Again, this is just a short view, very recently to just entice the community that there's something new coming. We're working on it. We're very excited on getting into your faces so that you can just, look fly when you wear Google Glass. With more questions, I'll be here around. Thank you very much.
So hi, my name is David. Thanks for sticking around. It's kind of getting late. I'm actually very glad to be the last because I didn't want to go right after Nielsen. She always does the cool stuff, and mine is not as cool as hers. So I'm kind of happy that I'm going to the last one now. My presentation is about the glass ecosystem, especially in terms of accessories, and how user experience is actually shaping glass ecosystem. I'm a founder and the CEO of GPOP. GPOP is a Google Glass accessory company. And I'm also a founder of Glass Sports. Glass Sports is a sports application development, and we're currently working with the Washington Capitals and the Washington Wizards to bring a Google Glass into sports. Before I came here today, the one thing that I always do is I try to match Google Glass to whatever I wear. So today I brought this little stripe silver and blue thing that matches my tie. So one thing I tried to do is I'm trying to make the Google Glass actually sexier than what it actually is. So this is actually one good example of it. And this is one of the examples how the user experience shapes the Glass ecosystem. Because my experience with the Google Glass is it's not really the sexiest looking device out there. It's not very fashionable, right? So that's my experience. And I actually want to change that by actually creating something so to make it look better. And I'm creating an ecosystem in this accessory world, right? So this presentation is about ecosystem and a community. So it has been about 9 months since the Google Glass was released into public. And we don't know what this ecosystem looks like because we never had this type of a device before. How is it really different than iPhone? When iPhone first came out, we actually had a cell phone before. So we knew what kind of ecosystem it was going to have. There was going to be a phone cover, there was going to be a protector, and there was going to be little things that attached to like a phone. So we actually knew what to expect. But we never had something like this before, right? So we don't know what kind of accessory we're going to need for the device like a Google Glass. During this presentation, I'm going to show you some of the examples of how people came up with this different type of accessories and how the user experience of their experience actually are shaping the Google Glass ecosystem. One of the problems that we encountered since the launch was the audio problem. Google Glass right now is using a bone conductor, before this, was using a bone conductor to transmit the sound to your ear. But then in a loud space where like in a subway or when you're in the outside, it's really hard to hear your Google Glass. So they actually started coming up with this little little earphone that attached to Google Glass. It looks like there's an earphone, right? So the experience of a Google Glass actually made us realize that, oh, hey, you actually do need an earphone for Google Glass. One of the problems with this type of earphone right now is, as you see, there's only one micro USB port on the Google Glass. If you start using this earphone, that port is actually being used by the earphone only. So what do you do when you actually want to charge it while you're actually listening to music? That's not possible right now. So that's one actually opportunity that we can actually look at and start investigating. Is there actually a business model for that, right? So the experience of Google Glass with audio actually made us realize that, hey, one, we need earphones. Another opportunity is we need actually earphones that I can actually charge at the same time. Another problem was battery life. A lot of times you see, this is actually very, you see this very often. Person actually charging a Google Glass while you're wearing it. You think this looks like cyborg? I mean, look at this. This is really worse. And a lot of times you see like the empty battery sign everywhere in the Google Glass. So the solution came to be extra battery, right? These are still in a prototype right now. So this is the first iteration. There are two companies working on it, KWR and Gazer. Another good example of I experienced Google Glass. I knew there's a need for it, and actually I'm going to create something. So now extra battery ecosystem is getting home. Another problem, privacy. That's what a big problem, right? Google Glass being banned, and if you wear Google Glass to a movie theater, you get detained by FBI for 2 hours, right? So a couple of people actually came up with some idea, right? This kind of looks funny right now, right? I just wearing this. If I'm recording something, I'm going to put this cat to let you know that I'm actually recording something, right? But if I put cat something like that, that means I can't really record you, right? So by just kind of showing you that, like, I'm actually being very vocal about my action right now. Again, very first version of iteration, right? But this is where the idea comes in, right? What can I do to actually get rid of the perception of Google Glass being invasive? Prescription lens. The first version actually was not able to support prescription lens. So there were two type of hack, this is not really hacking. You can put actually Google Glass on top of your previous prescription lens. Or another thing that Steve used to always do as well is what you see on here, just tie your Google Glass to your previous frames. So that's where the solution came in. Just like your previous presentation, Google actually just released a new type of frames, and Rochester Optical, they came up with new frames as well, and Bentley actually came up with a new type of frames as well that actually support the prescription lens. The problem with the previous version with this is actually, so it's not bifocal, it's a unifocal, meaning that there's only one glass Glass. So it's really actually hard to put a prescription in a uni lens. So by providing this type of frames, now it's much easier to put prescription into there. Another problem, durability in a bag. This is a very common problem. The lead part of the Google Glass is very weak. So if you put this in the case that Google gave to you, and if you actually start using it, you'll see your Google Glass is actually getting damaged. The solution, people are coming up with a new case. This is actually a new case that Google released. And actually the bottom one is not a Google Glass case, it's just a case for some other type of electronics, but people started using it. So this gentleman from New York actually started a Kickstarter. He started working on using a 3D printer to come up with a different type of a Google Glass case. Docking station. If you put a Google Glass on your table, as you see, the prism might be really close to the table, right? Somebody can step on it, or something can happen. You can spill water, and it'll be damaged, right? And this is not the prettiest way to actually put the Google Glass on the table. So people came up with a different solution: glass stands. These are all 3D printed, right? I think his name is Matt. Matt came up with two different ways to actually put your Google Glass, and this is where you can put a Google Glass while you actually charge. And the biggest problem is glass is ugly, right? I mean, this is the September issue of Vogue last year. So they did try to make it glass more fashionable. However, this is not very practical. This is very, futuristic look. This is not something that everybody can pull, right? And a lot of people say, if you have a Google Glass, you're a douchebag, So there's actually, the public perception is very bad. So the solution is, I don't have a solution here. The solution is, solution is actually my company that I actually have. The solution is, actually the previous presenter had the same solution that I have, is a way to customize your Google Glass to make it more fashionable. I have 5 minutes. I've been waiting for like 2 hours for this. And one of the problems is the durability. And it's not weatherproof, it's not waterproof. So there has been actually a foil issue that the foil bubbles up and that kind of makes your Google Glass. Solution, there's no solution right now. So this is maybe another area if you want to actually get into and try to look at it. I'm sure you can make a couple bucks with solving this type of problem. And there are some other miscellaneous accessories as well, but I'm going to skip it since I don't have time. So what's next? In my opinion, Google Glass is perfect for activities like skiing or snowboarding, right? So instead of creating a new type of a Google Glass for skiing and snowboarding, how about we create an accessory on top of a Google Glass that kind of matches the contextual experience? So, let's say, what if I build the ski goggle that can actually cover your Google Glass without actually hurting yourself or hurting the glass? I think that's actually a better solution than coming up with a whole new device that's just for the skiing stuff. Same thing for the surgery room and a construction worker. I talked about how this is different than Apple. I'm going to skip all these, I'm sorry. So how is glass ecosystem different now? Because in the past years, we never had a 3D printers, right? So nobody could actually start prototyping these things. And things like a Kickstarter actually gave people a chance to raise the money without actually going to investors, give them more opportunities to kick off this type of project. The reason why I put a G+ here is because the glass is a strong community, meaning that if you actually build something and release it, these people give you good feedback, and it's really actually easy to reach out to them. When Apple first released the iPhone, it's really hard to go after every single customer because there was no single location to go and to see how your product is doing. I'll actually end my presentation here and actually hand over to Virginia. And Virginia, you have probably 2 minutes. And she's actually a co-founder for Gpop, and she actually built 3 Google Glass applications. And she's going to briefly talk about the submission process in Google and how that worked out for her. Okay, Virginia.
Okay, can everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
Okay, so just really quickly, I want to expand on sort of the community and user experience, and I'm going to use 5 minutes. Thank you, Dave. Hi, how are you? So I have an app called Vignette Postcards, which is essentially, there's a website interface where people can go and send images to their glass to use to share on social media. There's holiday images, funny images, a bunch of things like that. And people really liked it, and they reached out and gave us suggestions about what they would like to see and what they would like to use, and so we absolutely kept that in mind. But as an example of the community coming together, there's a developer called, his name is Norton Lamb, and he has a blog called Mobile Evangelist, and he actually added functionality for the app and sent it to me, and said, hey, I built this, do you want to use it? So what that allowed us to do was, instead of just having a website that people could go to, they could actually put the app on their glass and launch a command that says, okay, glass, create a postcard, and immediately had access to all the images. So that was tremendous of him to do and reach out and sort of be part of the team of that app, and that helped us out a lot. I have another app called Word of the Day, which sends a vocabulary word to Glass once a day, each day. And I've actually submitted that to Google, hopefully to be included as an official Glass app, so we're waiting to hear about that. But submitting the apps to Google is, there's a lot of information that you need to send, and they are pretty, they're very clear cut about the information that they need from you about the apps, which is good. There is a lot of it, and again, they're pretty clear about what they're looking for. But so where we're at right now, I guess, is we're not sure what is the App Store going to look like? How is it going to work, right? There's not a business model right now. Their terms of service mandate that we can't charge money for the apps. We can't charge any sort of fee to the users. So I guess the future is a little uncertain in that respect, because nobody sort of knows what to expect or what's going to happen.
Right. Thanks, Virginia. So just one thing that I wanted to tell you guys was I guess it's like 1 minute. So there's a strong community in the Google Glass, and this is really good time to actually jump in and get a feedback right now. Once this gets bigger and bigger, it's going to be really hard to get a good feedback. And right now, since the community is very small, the ecosystem is very small, I suggest let's not compete against each other. I think it's just better to kind of collaborate and make this ecosystem bigger. And once this ecosystem bigger, that's when actually Google Glass will make it to the public, and I think that's when we can all enjoy Google Glass at the same time. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Virginia. All right, this is our question and answer time. We're going to everybody come up here, and Dennis, and everybody, make sure you have a chair. Anybody got any questions? Oh, let's get some hands. All right, great. Awesome. So, right there.
In the context of no monetization,
Who are you asking the question to?
to the panel,
Okay.
whoever wants to answer. No hierarchies. And that's actually part of the question. In the context of an intention economy, a shared information experience economy, which is what Google Glass allows, doesn't allow some other monetization, do you see apps that bring value in that context, where people trade information experiences, maybe letting people, even a microcurrency that I'll let you go on my vacation if I can see this movie with you, even if it's shared like glass dates or glass shadowing people or glass education experiences? You guys see that kind of like the Bitcoin guys are doing?
I think I got it. I'm going to let Dave answer that one.
Yeah, and if you've been paying what's happening in mobile in general, I think a lot of the app pricing models are problematic right now. I blame Steve Jobs, but part of what they had done is by forcing a 99-cent app model on developers, it made it very hard for developers to get revenue for what they produced in their application. And that's something where, if you publish a song, no one's going to complain that the song doesn't work on the new version of iOS. But that does happen with application development. So you're seeing already, in terms of the free models and premium models, you're seeing people experimenting with different ideas to monetize their applications. With Glass, Google opted for a no purchase, everything be free right now, because of the promise of the ecosystem. but also that there are other societal demands that we don't pump ads right into your eyes. And that's something where there's going to be challenge, especially with Google being an advertising-driven company, that the kinds of advertising that can be very intrusive and potentially safety issues, these are things that haven't been solved yet. I think what you're going to see from the glass community is you're going to see some creativity in terms of how the model is supported. While you can't charge for the glass application, it may require a membership or some other kind of connection to a service where the app is freely available, but that service ties in. But if you're looking at business applications, people are going for paid models, but it's not in the context of a Google distribution.
Next question?
So the price point is pretty high. When the iPhone first came out, it was being subsidized by the carriers. Do you guys see?
I can answer that for you. You know, mine are free, so we can start right there. But no, the idea was that they charged the developers and everybody $1,500 because they wanted to make sure you were serious about using them and that you really wanted it. It's not the price point that glass won't be out at. You know, it's probably not going to be any more than a cell phone will be. You know, I really don't see it. You know, unlock somewhere. You know. But I can see that's where it's going, but it's not going to be $1,500. $1,500 only if you're a serious developer, you're going to pay it, you're going to use it. That was the only reason. Okay.
If you look at Google's history in terms of products that wear the Google name, not excluding Nexus devices, if you look at the Chromebook Pixel, the Nexus Q, Google's definitely been positioning itself as a premium price. Any hardware they produce, aside from a Chromecast, is a premium product. The Chromebook Pixel is glorious, and it's $1,300 for a very, arguably limited device. Some of the marketing that you're seeing Google do right now with stereo headphones is that they're pushing a very much Beats kind of message where, hey, you spend $600 on a set of Beats, spend $1,500 on glass. Dave hits the nail on the head. It's eventually going to be priced down, but if you're waiting on the fence to say, okay, do I spend $1,500 now? It's going to be $400 6 months from now. The reality is that opportunity to be engaged, to work with the platform early itself has value. And I suspect we'll see some incremental steps before glass is something sold in blister pack in Walmart.
Any question? Right there.
I had a question for you, son. So I saw that you used Unity, which is a really awesome platform and it's got a lot of potential in the gaming industry. How tricky was it to port it over to the glass environment?
Okay, so it's actually a cross-platform development tool, and you basically just pay per platform to have it, say, compiled to like an APK. So Glass is just running Android ice cream sandwich, so you basically just build an Android app for it. There are a couple of UX considerations that obviously it's not going to be a one-to-one touch to screen. It actually uses a secondary touchpad, things like that. You would kind of just redesign your sort of touch interface for the side touchpad. I guess primarily it's more the UX redesign. Your logic can pretty much remain the same. So in theory, you can basically port any app that just remap the UX so that it uses the side touchpad or say the gyroscope or maybe even voice command or something. Just not one-to-one touch to the screen.
Yes, for touch-free applications, could you speculate on the type of gesture that you could do to navigate around the menus?
I didn't hear the last part.
Your is obviously an excellent idea, but for touch-free gestures, like in the operating room, for example, or out in space, could you speculate on how you would navigate the menus? Would you move your hand around? Would
so
you
you could
combine
potentially have
speech and-
hands-free. I think you're probably thinking about motion gesture, like say that you could track your hand or like a blob or something. You can do pretty easily blob detection on the camera currently, like say, left, right, gesture your hand like that. I think if you're using gyroscope only, you're going to get a lot of next strain. People have suggested that Gyrofire sort of have voice commands as well. Instead of tapping to fire, you are saying fire. But as well as you with glass, it's like, how your friends hijack your glass by saying, okay, glass, right? So in terms of gameplay, it might be kind of annoying. It's just your friends are hijacking your firing all the time. So, I mean, something that's tapping is a little bit more localized. And I mean, obviously you can always integrate it with other sensors, like say the Pebble or some other smartwatches, so that instead of say having to tap, you're just raising your hand or lowering your hand or something, because they have accelerometers on board that you can then, so that's something to go over.
Do ASL.
Any other questions?
Has anyone played with the HUD, not just up in the corner? Yeah, I mean, is it always the little visuals?
As far as having it down in your field of view?
Yeah, I mean, bringing it. Has anyone played with that or
Yeah,
early versions?
There's the Vuzix, and there's also the Recon Jet where they've tried positioning it in different areas of your field of view. What Google opted to do is have a display that doesn't intrude on your experience of life. They didn't want something that was right down in your field of view and distract you from the world around you. I think you're going to see that movement, and of course, as David Lee mentioned, also with the Vuzix, there are other firms experimenting. I won't be surprised to see glass move down into your field of view over time, but part of what they've done a very deliberate job with is making it something that's acceptable and easy to integrate in your life. I think you're going to see competitors that'll pop up. They'll do the whole field of view, but that whole Terminator kind of experience is a big leap. I mean, glass is a heavy lift, as I sit here next to David Lee and G-Pop. I mean, part of it is that you want to have this device becomes part of your appearance. It becomes part of how you interact with the world, and you're going to see some iterations with that, and glass is kind of taking that baby step by being high in your field of view. Eventually, you will see that kind of augmented reality, mediated reality overlap.
And I guess, how glasses transform into contacts or, for more transparency. You can also have displays on contact lenses, for example, in a Vega. And so I guess in that case, imagine your display being much more immersive, not say like in a corner or like in the center, but potentially, just your entire view.
So talking about smart glass, right? Talking about smart glass?
No, I'm talking about contact lenses.
Yeah. You have smart glass project they got from Microsoft that's at Google now. So it's actually interactive. It does everything from, homework testing. You've got like, what's it called? The other one when you have high blood pressure. So that's a project coming out, smart glass at Google.
Cool.
Anything else? Anybody else? Oh, that's just one of your pieces. Go ahead, Rick.
I'm curious if anyone has considered implications either of the accessory or feature version of Google Glass that I forget was brought up, like feature capabilities, like seeing it and stuff like that. But if you had a device that could, collect more data than simply its position via gyroscope and just video feed, something like had a greater sense of its three-dimensional environment, so that, for example, hand gestures, would be easy to track or something like that. How would that? Is it something even on the horizon, or just waiting to see technology?
Yeah, I mean, you're already seeing in terms of that kind of interaction. Part of what we've done with our work with David Tuna is we've made that wireless where it's not just about your head and gesture, it's about the context, location. And Yosemite referenced this as well. That's where you're really going to have a lot of value and there are folks who are working on keyboard devices or remote devices for alternate input. Remote is one of them. It's Latin American origin. It's a great idea to have a Bluetooth remote. But I think part of what you're going to see increasingly, and this is with Michelle Israel and Robert Scoble's book, The Age of Context, is that so much of this isn't just about the actions you initiate with the device, but the device is able to initiate actions based upon your location, and not just to say that we're in a neighborhood in San Francisco, but to say, okay, that you're in the conference room, pitch area of EventBrite, this location, is that we're going to see a shift to really a micro-location model that we haven't experienced yet. It's going to create opportunities that are contextual and much less user action. I mean, this kind of model where you're always initiating the search, you're always looking at the information, it's going to be more about delivering that information to you in that context, be it that gesture, be it the communication, but that gesture you may make means something different when you're standing in the kitchen versus when you're out in the backyard with the kids, and it's just having that deeper context.
Yeah, I just wanted to, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just sitting here.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I was in that. Just kidding. A great example of this, actually, I don't know if you run Android and have heard of Aviate, but Aviate is a location-based task launcher, which it will figure out if you're at home, or if you're at work, or if you're in the car, and then will tailor the experience for you for that. I wouldn't be surprised if Glass goes down that path, and fair warning that Aviate was bought by Yahoo, so you know, your mileage may vary. But yes, I think that's probably where it's going.
I guess just add some hardware hacking, sort of DIY sort of inside. You can also say use other HUDs like the Oculus Rift with the Kinect. Last year did a hack actually with Intel Perceptio and the Kinect. So Intel also has their own motion gesture sort of thing, which is actually just self-kinetically granted. But basically, then you can always say duct tape the Kinect to your Oculus or something, or you can always 3D print it, but that will take material time. So there are a lot of things out there, and you can mix and match them and combine them and see those and make kind of cool stuff with it. Yeah.
Sure. Cool.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to expand on the answer to that question. The development community is also really interested in the Bluetooth Low Energy APIs being backported to the version of Android that Glass is running on. Once that happens, Glass can actually support Bluetooth Low Energy. The hardware supports it. We just need the APIs supported. There's an open issue right now on the Glass project. Hopefully they'll pick it up soon. But if they support that, it'll open up a whole new class of devices like pedometers, heart rate monitors. Like one thing that I'd really like to see, for example, is a heart rate monitor that you can wear all the time where Glass will alert you when your heart rate shoots up. Like if you're in a stressful situation, it alerts you and says like, hey, your heart rate's high, what's going on? And then like if your heart rate drops low, for example, it can ask you like, oh, you calmed down or something, what happened? So you can start to learn over time like what things trigger stress, what things allow you to calm down. So I think there's other types of sensors that Glass doesn't need to provide like within the unit, but if it provides APIs for Bluetooth Low Energy, for example, it becomes very easy to add these extra features on. So,
awesome. And I would add that the lack of BLE Bluetooth Smart support in Glass is a real disappointment, especially considering that other features have been backported, like the USB audio devices have been backported to a version of Glass. And especially for us, we do a lot of work, Bristle does a lot of work with BLE devices and those embedded kind of devices in healthcare. And having Glass being unable to communicate with those devices is frustrating right now. I have vented in the most productive ways possible with members of the Glass team and management. And, no, we're not non-committal at this point. But given the leaps we've seen in those devices, in the past year, it's a missed opportunity that you have all these other wearable devices on your person that are BLE and Glass can't talk to them.
In fact, one of our guys at the Facebook Game Hackathon, Ash, who does Glass hacking, he actually hacked where you two phones using like Bluetooth, that you see both cameras at the same time. So automatically with some sensor stuff, you can see what the other person was seeing. So like, oh, check this, honey. So it'd be perfect for Glass to have a motion or alerts to let them see what's happening in real time. It doesn't make sense.
Anybody else? Way in the back there.
I just wanted to say thank you guys. This is really interesting. I learned a lot. And my question is, would anyone be kind enough to let me
Oh, wow. We're back there. Also, I wanted to say that Sienna, after the event, and give her your email. we'll send you the free book on how to develop a class. Waldo, I was waiting for you.
I have to catch Caltrate in a few minutes, so this is sort of leapfrogging a bit. Thanks very much for all the information. I'm looking for a technical reviewer for a Google Glass book covering the Mirror API, GDK, HTML5. If you are interested or know someone, just contact me on the meetup site. My name is Oswald. Thanks very much.
And that comes with free pizza.
Yeah.
Anybody else? One more.
There's the one picture that I used to always use in a presentation is my daughter running at me, and I have my hands both trying to give a hug, right? Those type of pictures are impossible to take with your cell phone or your camera because the minute I pull out my cell phone to take a picture, she's going to stop and she's going to pose, something like that, So I think that's something that one of the greatest things is being able to take a photo and see from your perspective. And if you actually put emotional value to it and put a little Apple twist to it, I'm sure you can sell a lot of these too or something.
Yeah, I was thinking about a monitor for kids. We're doing an hackathon startup weekend in Oakland. It's like how to protect people from stuff like Trayvon. And I just thought about today what we're going to build. I'm going to do a glass app. You're going to have personal security live stream when shit happens. Or, yeah, that would be kind of cool. And then you maybe put it to Google Hangout like your friends know this is a problem. Something cool like that.
All right. To answer your question, and I know I kind of touched on this in my presentation, which was not based on this. How many people here have seen the most recent Apple ad where they're having people doing crazy stuff all around the world? Come on, I am not the only person. Really? It's Apple? All right, so yeah, I know I'm wearing it. Yeah, I presented for a MacBook. So I think it's something where there are so many potential use cases for people that you actually have to start pulling some out and almost segmenting, saying, hey, for the soccer mom, we really actually want to push photo and video because it's the easiest way to capture your kid's first steps. For a dad that's a stock trader, hey, you can get updates on the weekends and you can still be paying attention to your family. What, am I getting kicked off the stage?
That was a great one.
All right, ready? Your card has been interrupted. All right, I just want to say, really thank all of you for hanging out the end here and give this great panel because this is very rare. Dead Anson from Brick Simple, all the way from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. You'll see Hank from New York. I'm from 4 blocks away. Dennis Wingo all the way from NASA. I'm glad we could stay up this late. But really, it was a great night. We had a great time. And thank all you guys for coming and doing this. We had a great time. So, thank you. Remember, if you want the book, Sienna, she's around your email.